everybody, we're back the next day and I wanted to show you what the dried stuff looked like. So I got some jars to put them in for now. And it looks like the last tray I did that had that mixed vegetables on it, they're still kind of moist. This is just an experiment. So I'll probably give them to my chickens right now. Because they're still super flexible, they don't snap, they're not completely dry. This is not something I would grind up and make into a powder. So I'm going to work with that later. However, my peas look pretty amazing. So let's do the peas in here. And again, they're just like little pebbles. Let me get a handful here. And these are dry. And everything went in for about 10 hours, 10 or 12 hours. And they're just super crunchy. So let me get the peas in here. Hang on a second. All right, so here's my peas. This was what 3 trays of peas looks like. And so I'll just vacuum seal these. And I can put them on the shelf. And then you put them in stews, soups, whatever you want to do. And they'll just reconstitute. Another thing you can do is, believe it or not, you can grind these up into a powder and use them as pea powder. And which is a good nutrient. Some people put them in smoothies and stuff like that. Add them as a flavoring. But there's my peas. So looking at my onions here, these are my onions. And these are really crisp and done. So those could be ground up. And they're actually really good. The intensity of the flavor of the onion when it's dried really makes it an intense. It almost tastes like those dried crispy onions that you put on your green bean casserole. You can even eat these as a snack, I would think, if you like onions, which I do love onions. So I have a jar for those. And so this I was going to make into onion powder, which I'm actually going to combine it with my tomatoes and make a tomato onion powder. So I could use that as seasoning. And so again, make sure they snap. And they're super crispy. So I'm going to get these on this tray and out of the way. So hang on. Okay, so finally we're at the tomatoes. So the tomatoes are really dried. This is what they look like, and that's with that seasoning on there. You hear that snap? They are dry. Now, this is where you'd have the option. These could be considered sun-dried. And now that they're officially dried, they've got the seasoning on them. You can put them in a jar, a mason jar here, and just put some olive oil in with it. So then you kind of get that olive oil, which would kind of reconstitute the sun-dried tomatoes. But the intensity of the flavor of the tomatoes is even more now that they have been dried and they've been dried with seasoning on it. But as I said, I'm going to make this into an onion tomato powder with Italian seasoning. So you can add that to soups, flavoring. You can actually add it to like mayonnaise. I know, sounds weird, but you could use that as like, you know, an aioli is what they call it, a flavoring for your mayo. Because like there's a chipotle mayo that's out there. Sun-dried tomato with Italian seasoning and onion, I think would really be good. Maybe I'll try that after we blend this up real quick. So let me finish this up and I'll be right there. Okay, so they're all in my food processor. So I'm going to process this until it's a powder. So hang on. Okay, so I got it in there as fine as I can. Now there's still a little bit of chunks, or it's not completely powder, which I guess I could continue to do this, but I don't want to do that and I just made a mess. But anyway, this is what the powder looks like. I know I have it in a super big jar right now. But I'm going to mix it in with some mayonnaise and have a taste and see what it tastes like. So here's my mayonnaise. I am going to put in like a tablespoonish. We'll call it a tablespoon. And I'm just mixing it in there. This is just for me because I know my husband probably wouldn't eat this, but it'd be really good on a hamburger. I would think. So I am going to taste straight up mayonnaise, see what it tastes like. That's pretty good. It gives a good texture. You definitely get the tomato, the onion, and the Italian seasoning. I like it. But I would also use this for other things like soups and spices and just to give it a little extra tang. And I'm going to make a sandwich out of it. So let's taste it with a sandwich. Hang on. All right. So here's my bread. Homemade sourdough starter bread. I'm going to put this on top of it. I'll just spread it on there. I'll show you what it looks like as a spread. So it still has a little bit of the chunks from the tomatoes in there. All right. And then we've got some chicken lunch meat that we're going to have for lunch today. There we go. And I can't seem to have a sandwich without cheese on it because that's how I roll. Got an extra slice in here that I got to use up. So we'll put that on there. Thanks for joining me for lunch today, everybody, guys. That's what this is. This is my lunch. All right, we're going to cut the sandwich in half. It looks real pretty. So let's have a taste of this. I really like that. That gives it just a little extra flavor. If you want, you can put maybe a little bit of garlic in with that. Just get a little bit more zing. So that would be like an aioli. So an aioli being a mayonnaise with flavor in it. Basically, that's how I describe it to myself. But this was really good. It was really good too because I have homemade bread since I don't buy bread anymore, or as little as possible. Anyway, so turned out really good. It's a really good option. We'll talk to you guys later. Just remember, you can do any of your vegetables. If you dry them, you can powder them up. And then you can add them to different recipes as a flavoring or extra nutrients, or if you're doing any of those smoothies or anything like that, you can do it that way too. So everyone have a good day. We'll talk to you later.